Now we cross to the state capture inquiry that's underway in Parktown.
Promise lines to me.
Yes.
The Wednesday, the 22nd, the morning of Wednesday,
Yes.
the 22nd, I get this revised memorandum from Mr.
Yes.
Ndewe Metshetle,
Yes.
where we are still then busy revising the memorandum and putting the document in, and I only send that document to her later on the Wednesday morning.
Yes. Yes.
So this document could not have been ready
Yes.
for signature on the 21st or the 22nd because it was
Yes.
still in preparation, is the
Yes.
point I was making.
That is now assuming that this document reflects the changes that you were asked to make.
It does indeed.
And you say it does.
It does.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And maybe to go back to the point which was the subject of my original question, this document, therefore, being the document that was placed before the board committee, in substance, did it contain the same amendments about which you had expressed concern?
It contains
substance.
the same amendments in substance, confinement to Mars for the same reasons.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Chair, if I may just check with Mr. Callard, I'm not sure if he understood your question.
Yes.
The Chair's question was whether the document, which is annexed as 14,
Yes.
contained the amendments made to the original proposed mass confinement.
Maybe let me put it again. Mr. Callard, you were sent by Ms. Mdletshe
Yes.
your memo that you had prepared, but with suggested changes.
Correct.
Or changes that you were asked to make. And you had concerns about the changes that you were asked to make.
Correct.
You sent an email to Mr. Gama and Mr. Gianni about your concerns.
Correct.
So my question in regard to this was simply whether, in substance, this document that was placed before the board committee contained the same changes which had caused you the concerns which you had articulated to Mr. Gama and Mr. Gianni. And my understanding is that you say that is so.
Absolutely correct, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
It contains the same changes in substance to
Yes.
which I raised my concerns
Yes.
to Mr. Gianni
Yes.
and Mr. Singh.
Yes.
And without testifying to every dot and T, but it is essentially the changes that I received from Mr. Ndewe Metshetle in that mail to which I expressed my concerns.
Yes, okay.
Thank you, Chair. And perhaps because we are already on this document, it might be appropriate to deal with it at this juncture. Mr. Callard, if you refer to page 257 of your statement,
257.
and starting at paragraph 69,
Yes.
and
I'm sorry, Ms. Silo. Earlier on, you made the point, Mr. Callard, that I think it was Mr. Brian, Mr. Singh. The page on which he signed the document we have just been talking about that was placed before the board committee, it appears to have been signed on the 21st of January 2014. And I think it was in regard to him that you were saying the document could not have been signed on the 21st because on the 21st he would not, I assume you say, have received the document as amended by, as given effect to the amendments having been given effect to by you that were suggested to you.
Correct, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, the amended document.
The amended document, yes.
Came later.
Yes.
So the question I wanted to ask was whether it was not possible that it would not have been possible for somebody not to wait for you to effect the changes, but to go ahead and make the changes on their own computer.
Of course, that possibility does exist, and it is a possibility, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Someone else could have
Yes.
made all those changes without waiting for me,
Yes.
given them to Mr. Singh and Mr. Molefe to sign
Yes.
on the 21st,
Yes.
which would have meant that the mail from Ms. Mdletshe to me on the 22nd
Yes.
was a waste of time
Academic,
or
yeah.
just a total miscommunication.
Yes.
I cannot
Yes.
say that
So
is not possible.
If that was done, then it's possible. But if they waited for your ones, then it would not be possible.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And let us take that discussion to its logical conclusion, Mr. Callard, if you permit me. Please refer to page 260, and that is the signed proposal to BEDEC.
Yes.
At 87, just a second.
Yes.
At page 87, what is that table and how did it get to be part of this document?
I'm sorry. Didn't you say we must go to
So
260?
paragraph 87, I do apologize,
Oh,
Chair.
not page.
Page
Okay.
260,
Yes.
paragraph 87. At paragraph
Okay.
87, there's a table.
There is a table, yes.
Do you know who inserted that table into the document?
To the best of my recollection, that I did that, but I would just like to confirm that to the document which I received from Ms. Mdletshe, which I think is Annexure 13. Annexure
Annexure 5, I think.
Annexure 5.
No, sorry, let me not confuse you. We are looking for Annexure 7, which starts at 157.
Annexure 7.
And Annexure 7 itself is the email from Ms. Mdletshe
Mdletshe, yes.
requesting you to find the evaluation methodology that needs to be incorporated in the Word document.
Right. If one could, thank you, and if I could refer you please to page 177 and 178.
Yes.
Yes.
This is the document received from Ms. Mdletshe on the Wednesday morning, and you will see significant gaps on page 177 and 178 where the document obviously needs to be formulated and a slide inserted. And that is what happened when I inserted the evaluation methodology slide into the document. It was fine-tuned.
So by reason of that, you are able to say the document that Mr. Singh and Mr. Brian Molefe signed, that which I referred to a few minutes ago, you are able to say it is the document that came from you after you had been asked to effect changes.
And yes, unless one cannot exclude the possibility that there was somebody else with all the knowledge who did it on the side. One cannot exclude that possibility, but otherwise it's...
But you say on the probabilities.
On the balance of probabilities.
Yeah, okay.
May I then also just direct one to the final point that if one looks on page 260, right at the bottom left, it says BEDEC 160 final. So even after my document was inserted, there were still subsequent changes to this because it has now been changed from version 15 GP, which I amended, to somebody has still worked on it, to BEDEC 160 final.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And to the question whether or not this document reflected the concerns you had raised about confinement to CSR, the document at Annexure 14.
Well, maybe if you say reflects the concerns, it might be ambiguous.
I'll restate.
It reflects the issues that gave rise to his concerns.
It's a completely wrong question I posed. It reflects the changes made to your original document?
In substance,
That is the question.
yes.
And in that regard, I would like to refer you to page 256.
Yes.
And I just lost my page. Chair, if you'd bear with me. And with reference to our Annexure 8, page 256 from paragraph 66.
25 from paragraph 60.
Have you located it?
I have 256 paragraph 66
From paragraph 66?
on page 256.
Yes.
Yes.
A comparison of from paragraph 68, confinement of 100 electric locomotives, with your Annexure 8, which is where you indicated changes were made, and that will be on page 199, appear to be the same, meaning that the latter document seems to have incorporated the very CSR changes introduced. Would I be correct?
That would be correct. If we look at paragraph 69, that is at the first reading the same as paragraph 67. Paragraph 68, addressing the urgency, is missing from the approved version. The paragraph 670, complementing the urgency, is in, and it is same in style and substance as the page 201, which was the change document I received from Ms. Lecce. So, confirming in substance, it is the same.
At least insofar as confinement to CSR is
Confining to CSR, yes.
You will recall, Mr. Callard, that we were dealing with the actual minute of BEDEC
Yes.
before we dealt with these issues. And we were at page 232.
232.
And in particular, item 5.2.2.
232.
2.2, 5.2.
No, the annexure, the minutes.
Annexure would be, Chair.
I thought you were saying we were
30.
going there.
Chair?
I thought you were saying we were going to the minutes.
Yes, the minutes start at, it's Annexure 13, starting at 227.
Okay.
And the
Thank
particular page is page 232, and you were at paragraph 5.2.2 on
Thank you.
page. Now, I'm going to try and deconstruct this, and I would like to have your comments. The first entry there states, management, and I quote, management informed the committee that it was decided that a 26 heavy haul line by GE would perform better than a Class 19E locomotive by Mitsui. Just, can you comment on that
Certainly.
in regard to GE, please? Reference to GE?
Consistent throughout this paragraph, GE should read CSR, and CSR should read GE, consistent throughout this approval of the 100 locomotives.
So you're saying they got mixed up?
They got
They
mixed
got
up.
swapped around there.
They got mixed up.
Okay, then if we will read GE for purposes of this conversation,
Yes, no, we
as
must
CSR
read
for now.
as it is, yeah.
Yes. It says management informed the committee that it was decided that a 26 heavy haul line by, you suggest CSR would perform better than a Class 19E locomotive by Mitsui. My question to you is, do you know who and by whom it was decided that that 26-ton heavy haul line by CSR would perform better than the 19E Mitsui?
I cannot put a name to when you ask by whom.
And you say this GE, where it says GE in that sentence and in the rest of that paragraph, it should be saying CSR.
Correct, Mr.
And
Chair.
where it says CSR, it should say GE.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
And on that very point, before I deal with the other issues, if you go further into the body of that paragraph, Mr. Callard, at line 6, at the end of line 5, a statement starts, quote, management requested for a contract extension for class 43E diesel locomotives by CSR,
Which-
end of quote.
Should read an extension for class 43 diesel locomotives by GE. That's what it should read.
And so the diesel locomotives were to be supplied by GE,
Correct.
and the electric locomotives by CSR.
Correct.
But when you say when you read that paragraph, there is an inversion there. There's a bit of a confusion. So where we see GE, we must read CSR, and conversely, where we see CSR, we must read GE.
Correct.
Okay. Getting back then to the start of the document, the second proposition made here is, and it stated, quote, further, it seemed that CSR, written GE, I'll read CSR, delivers faster than Mitsui. Do you have a comment on that?
Yes, I have a comment. The comment is correct, but one questions its relevance. Because CSR, and it was known at the time, is a major supplier of locomotives in China, and they have the capacity, it was passage talk, that they could produce 1,000 locomotives a year. That is a considerable number of locomotives. So they have the capacity to produce. The relevance, however, is that they are then produced in China and not in South Africa, and then would not meet any of the local supplier development and or local content prescriptions which would be in place for the import of the locomotives. So to make the statement that CSR can produce locomotives at that rate, however in China, when it should be applied to South Africa, is questionable. Further, at this time, no locomotive from CSR had been produced in South Africa. The production line in Transnet Engineering was still being set up. We have heard, and I've spoken to, the one locomotive that was imported from China and undergoing prototype testing.
All right, so we come out of that state capture briefing for now, and we cross to Banyana. They're holding a press briefing. Let's cross to that now.
Janine van Wyk, who's the captain, Bambanani Mbane,